welcome back to Reading with Manny. I'm Manny, and today I am doing a short, fun little tag. It's the 6 Tudor Queens book tag. It was created, I think it was last month, that there was this Tudor read-along going on. I did not hear about it at the time, I think, but it sounded really interesting. I just saw Gemma from Bookish Gems do it. And since I haven't been able to film a video for like a couple of weeks now, I thought this would be a great opportunity to just, put out some content and yeah. So I'll leave all the original tags from the creators down below, as well as Gemma's video, because it was great. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on with the prompts. I will look at my laptop for the questions, but yes, the first one is Katherine of Aragon, and it's a book that was your first love. You know what I'm going to say. I am in my early 30s. My first love was Harry Potter. But yeah, I still feel very conflicted about everything. But yeah, I can't deny that Harry Potter was my first love, and it will always hold a special place in my heart. And yeah, J.K. Rowling be damned. I don't care. I do want to make a video on the whole topic because I find it fascinating, and I just read this book, How to Be Perfect by Michael Schur, and he touches on that topic of like separating the artist from the work, and can you do that, and is it ethical? And it was fascinating, so I do want to get into it, but yeah, it's not for today. I digress. So, in the spirit of talking about something else that isn't as problematic, I guess, I'm gonna mention other things that I liked when I was little. And to start with, I think I mentioned this in my booktube newbie tag, but I don't know. The Asterix series, it's like a comic book / graphic novel thingy. I don't even know what category it is. But yeah, I used to be obsessed with these. I used to borrow them from my aunt and uncle. That was my cat scratching my sofa. I used to borrow them from my aunt and uncle, and then I pestered my parents and everyone to gift me my own copies for like birthdays and Christmas and everything, Children's Day, everything. I don't have any of my copies here at home because I left them with my parents when I moved. Not sure why. I should get them. They're mine. But anyway, I was obsessed with them, and just now that I was reading this trilogy of historical fiction from ancient Rome, and they, Caesar is a prominent character in it. Did I imagine Caesar as this, and the Roman legionnaires and the armies and soldiers as this? Yes, maybe, but that's beyond the point. Anyway, Asterix, loved it. Really recommend. Super funny, lots of jokes at the time just completely flew over my head because obviously I did not know enough history, but yeah, I should really reread all of them now that I'm an adult. Moving on to the next prompt, that is Anne Boleyn, and that is a book with a manipulative character. Now, I will not ever pass up an opportunity to talk about my favorite book, and that is The Watchmaker of Filigree Street, and obviously its sequel, The Lost Future of Pepper Harrow, which I am rereading right now and tabbing, as well as I tabbed this one when I reread it earlier this year. These two books feature a very manipulative character, in the sense that there's a character that, due to his abilities, he can manipulate events. That's all I'm gonna say, because spoilers, but I love these books so much and I want everyone to read them. So like, also look how pretty they are. I know that they don't match because I don't know why I got the hardcover of this one when I already had the paperback. I want to get them to match at some point. But yeah, they're so pretty. They're so shiny and golden, and yeah, that's beyond the point. The content is what's important. Natasha Pulley is a queen. I don't even know what I'm saying. Go read them. It's just fantastic. I should probably say what they're about. This is historical fiction set in Victorian London, a little bit in Japan, this one, and a lot in Japan, this one. It's fascinating. It's speculative historical fiction. There's a gay romance. It has everything. Just go read them. Yeah. Anyway, next question before I cry about this. That is Jane Seymour, and that is a book that delivered what you wanted. I love these prompts. But anyway, so I chose 2 books for this one, because the first one I have talked about on my channel before, but not that much. But yeah, that is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This is one of my favorites from last year. I absolutely loved it. Again, look how shiny it is. I definitely want to reread this at some point. This is a book that is a story about stories and how they shape us and how they affect us and how much we love them. And yes, it gave me everything I wanted that I didn't even know I wanted when I went into it. It's great. I got a tattoo of it. Like, seriously, it touched me deep in my soul. It was like it was written for me. So yes, definitely what I wanted. But in the spirit of talking about books that I maybe haven't mentioned before in my channel, and so you can get to know a little bit more of my taste, I'm gonna mention Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, both of whom are like favorite authors of mine. I picked this up ages ago, like I don't even know when was the first time I read this, but yeah, I randomly picked it. I think I remember that I randomly picked it up at my local bookstore, and yeah, maybe I had heard of Neil Gaiman before. I don't remember. All I know is that I think this is the first book I read by either of them, and I loved it. Did I know that I want a book about a demon and an angel trying to stop the apocalypse? No, I did not know that when I went into it, but it definitely is what I wanted. This book is hilarious, it's heartwarming, it's just ridiculous in the good sense, and I loved it. I want to reread it. Every once in a while remember like different sections of it and I just start laughing. Also, the TV show, if you haven't watched it, what are you doing? Go right now, but first read the book, I would say. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Next is Anne of Cleves, poor woman, a book that wasn't what you expect. Again, these prompts crack me up. So I'm gonna mention 2 books, both of which I read last year as well. Both are kind of a cop-out because the first one is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Now, I know what you're gonna say. Nobody expects anything. Nobody knows what to expect of this book, but it's definitely not anything you could have imagined, so I'm picking this one. I went into it knowing next to nothing, and then I had no idea what was going on, and then the twists kept happening, and this was great. So this book is about Piranesi. He lives in this house that has a lot of statues, lots of different halls and rooms with different statues. Sometimes it floods, and this is all that Piranesi knows. This is his world. Sometimes there's this other person. He calls him the other. That's all. That's all I can say. It's not anything that you could expect. That's it, basically. The other book, that again is kind of a cop-out because it even says it on the blurb, on the synopsis, that is The Last House on Needless Street, which I don't have a physical copy of, but I will eventually. It's by Katherine Howard. She is a genius. This book is supposed to be about this man who is somehow related to the disappearance of a child, and then we also follow the sister of this child that years later is trying to figure out what happened to her. And then there's this other POV that I will not say anything about, because if you haven't read this book, it should come as a surprise to you. And that's all I can say. The blurb says this book is not what you expect. So yeah, it's a perfect definition. I love this book. It blew my mind, and I want everyone to read it. Next is a book that irritated you, and that is Katherine Howard. Okay, I don't tend to be irritated by books normally because I am pretty good at choosing what I like, but I read The Maidens last year by Alex Michaelides, and I can't tell you how irritated I was at this book and at the main character and at the events that unfolded in this book. I don't understand how this book got published. I'm sorry, that was very mean. But yeah, I just don't get it. The main character makes so many ridiculous decisions that would not happen in real life. Like, this book is about this woman who is a therapist, and her niece calls her one day from Cambridge because her best friend got murdered, and so she goes up there to comfort her, but then somehow she ends up involved in the investigation because she suspects the teacher, who is like this dark academia with like an entourage of girls behind him, and he's the classics teacher and whatever. So she suspects him, and the police are incompetent. She gets into the, it's just, I hated it. The twist is the most implausible, ridiculous thing I have ever read. It was just for shock value and I hated it. So I guess this is a book I hated, not that really irritated me. It went beyond irritation, but yes, that's the one I can think of. I don't get this book. I don't understand how anyone could like it. Sorry, again, that was mean. All right, next we have, moving on. Next we have Katherine Parr, and that is a book that was published after the death of the author. Now, I do have a couple of them. One of them is Lady Susan by Jane Austen, which I am hoping to finally read next month, because Katie from Books and Things is hosting her annual Jane Austen July read-along. This is the first time I'll be able to participate, and I'm very excited. And there is going to be a read-along of Lady Susan. I did start reading it ages ago, but I never finished it for some reason. I don't know why. So this is gonna be the year that I finally read it. That was published after Jane Austen's death. It's super interesting because it's in epistolary form, so it's a story told through letters. I find that really interesting to read, so yes. And the other one that I have actually read is a classic, The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. I reread this last year, and it's still as fascinating and amazing as it was the first time I read it when I was like 13. Yeah. This book tells the story of like the first 2 ages of Middle-earth, like right before the events of the Lord of the Rings. It's very full of lore that is mentioned in Lord of the Rings. You really get a whole sense of what Middle-earth is like, and the gods and the myths and the heroes from those ages. It's fantastic. It's chock full of characters. There's even like a list of characters at the end, and family trees and a glossary for elven words, and everything is just fantastic. And all of this was compiled and edited by his son Christopher after Tolkien's death. And yeah, there's many other books that Christopher has published after his death, like The Children of Hurin. There's a lot of unfinished tales and things like that, which I also own, but didn't want to get off my shelves. But yes, love this book. If you like Lord of the Rings, which is also one of my first loves, you should probably read this. The new TV show that is coming out this year, I think it's about the Second Age, so it must take something from this, so very intrigued to watch that. And finally, The King, Henry VIII, and that is a chunky book that you hated. Again, these prompts. Again, there are not many books that I have hated, but there is a very chunky book that is a classic that I hated, and that is Don Quixote de la Mancha by Miguel de Cervantes. And I know that this is a classic of my language and I should probably have read it, but I did not finish it. We were supposed to read it in high school for like literature. I was in like 4th grade, so I was like 15, and they asked us to read up to chapter, I don't know, 8, like mandatorily. Is that a word? We would have like a test on it, so we had to read up to chapter 8. And I was an avid reader, even back then, as I have mentioned before. So I did try to keep going and read more. And I think I got up to chapter 10 and I was like, I'm done. I cannot read this anymore. It was not for me. I did not get it at the time. Or it's just not good. I don't know. It's been ages. Maybe I should try it again. But I don't think so. I have other things to read. I know my dad loves it. There was one summer when he read it, and he would come in at dinner and just read passages to us, laughing his head off. And we were like, yeah, okay. Poor dad. We did not like it. But anyway, that is a chunky book, because it has 2 tomes. It's divided in different books. I don't remember, but I hated it. So yeah, that's my chunky book. So I think that's it. I've been rambling for like 15 minutes already, so this was supposed to be a short video. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. I hope that you enjoyed. Do check out all the creators and tags and videos I have mentioned down in the description below. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books, if you disagree with my opinions, especially about Don Quixote. If you have read it, let's chat about it in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more of this, I guess, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, happy reading.